So in the lecture, we talk about relational database, and users will query data from database. The query is a structured request, basically. Okay. In this video, we're going to talk about how to query database in Microsoft Access. Okay. We expose the design views and SQL views. We're going to talk about SQL. And for those who don't have Microsoft Access, especially for those who are using Apple Mac systems, it's kind of difficult to install, but you may have a chance to install, but it's difficult. Then we have another place to practice SQL, which will be mentioned later in this video. Okay. Okay, first let's talk about Microsoft Access. The Access data. The data is available. The data is modified. Okay, is modified for homework exam purposes. So it will be a little bit different from the original data from the publisher's website. So the data has been uploaded, and a link has been provided in the notes in the assignment page. First, we're going to download it, and if you have Access installed, you can open the data file, and better to enable content. Okay. As you can see, this database has 4 tables: customer, inventory, sales, and sales inventory table, which is a transactional table. You can open these tables to see their layout. Right, for example, we just open the customer tables. We have we have 5 columns representing 5 attributes of customer, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Currently, we have 5 lines representing 3 records. That is about 5, describing 5 customers information. All right. So we can check other tables one by one, but we can also check the design view of the table. Okay, and this is going to give us the layout information. All right, so we're gonna just cover the query part of Access. Access is very strong, very capable softwares, but we are only covering a small part of it. So I go to Database Tools. I want to see how these tables are related. So I choose to see the relationship of these tables. All right. So this shows relationship among these tables. That's why they call it relational database. So tables are related by primary key and foreign key. So customer ID is primary key for customer table. Okay, but customer ID is a foreign key in sales table. Sales table has a primary key that is a sales invoice ID. So that's why these two are related. And as you can see, for each customer, I can have multiple sales records. That's why the relationship is one-to-many. Okay, so all the 4 tables are related, but so the sales table is most important. Customer relates to sales, right? Sales inventory relates to sales, but inventory relates to sales inventory tables. All right. So the idea of query is we can use this relationship to find out whatever the data we want from any of the tables. Okay, we can find information from two tables, 3 tables, or 4 tables, depends on what we want. Okay, the first query in the textbook asks list invoice number, dates, and the salespersons for sales made to Laura Dorley. Okay, so be careful. In the assignment, we may have similar query, but it may differ from the textbook's queries. Okay, so the textbook is used for practice purposes. All right, how to answer the question? How construct the first query? So first query is asking for invoice number. Okay, let's look at the sales table. Invoice number and the dates and the salesperson. Okay, we have all of these, but the only thing that is not available in this table is the customer called Laura Dorley. But we have customer ID, which can give us the name from the customer table, right? We have customer name from the customer table. So these 2 tables are what we need to find out the data we want. So we're going to query data from these 2 tables, right? All right, so we can close the relationships, and we're going to go to create. Okay, create queries. This is a design view. Okay, this is a design view. We can talk about SQL view later. So I'm going to first select the table I want to use. Right, I want to use sales, and I also want to use customer. You can move one by one. I will use the control and a left click to select both. Then I'm gonna move to the window. So the relation is also brought in. All right. So now in this window right here, I'm going to select the fields I want to report. I want to output, right? So I'm going to select I want the sales invoice data, right? I want the sales date. I want the salesperson information, and I want the customer name from customer name. It's right here. Customer name from the customer tables. Okay, I want to show the 4 of them. Okay, and I do have a requirement that is for the customer name. I want to import criteria or requirement that I want to have Lola Dorley, and it's coded because it's a text file. Okay, all right, because this is a design view, I can go to the design and run the query to see if it's going to give the correct answer. Run. All right, so this is the outcome of the query. So we find 2 invoices associated with customer Laura Dorley. All right, so this is what we want. And I'm going to save it as a query 1. It will be saved in the database. We can use it later. So click close it. So now the database has 4 tables plus 1 query, which is query 1. Alright, so let's go back to the relationship tables and take a look at query 2 in the textbook. Query 2 is asking us to list the sales data. Okay, sales data. Description. Description is from the right. inventory table description and quantity for each transactions in which refrigerators were sold in October. All right, looks like we will have the sales table, right, inventory table, and because it's asking for the quantity, right, for transactions, we also need the sales inventory tables, or 3 tables will be used to for this query. So in this query, we're gonna join 1, 2, 3, the 3 tables together to find the data 1, 2, 3, or the other way 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we can let's go to the create, right? Query design. Okay, can design a query. So create a query, and first I'm going to bring in the 3 tables I want. Okay, they are already linked. All right. So what information I need? I need the sales data. Sales data must be from the right, the sales tables. So sales data. I want what else? I want the description. Description is from inventory table. Inventory description. Okay. And I also want the quantity. Right? Quantity. That is from the sales inventory table. That's too small to see. So I'm going to make it larger so I can see the full description. Okay, so I want the quantity. All right. And also there are additional requirements saying we want information for refrigerator transactions only, and also for October only. All right. Right. First, we want transactions only in October. So I'm going to put some criteria. So this is between the months of October and I want the refrigerator only. See, the Axis automatically put format, date format, okay, for me. All right, I think this is what we want, and let's run the query. All right. So now we find 4, right, records, transactions, right, and the amount, the quantity of refrigerator sold in those transactions. All right, it looks good, so I'm going to save. Right, save the query right here. Save. It's a query 2. Okay, so I have 2 queries down. Okay. So equivalently, let's take a look at the SQL view. SQL view. So we're gonna write code directly to query data. Alright, so basically I'm going to right? Combine these three tables one by one. First sales to sales inventories, then to inventory tables. All right, so I'm going to create a query, but this time I want the SQL view. You can select that right here. SQL view. So it's directly the codings. So we're going to select. Okay, select. I want the three tables and the data I want. I want the sales data table from the sales table. Sales data from the sales table. Okay, I want a description from the inventory table. And I want the quantity from the sales inventory table. So you can see for each data, there's a dot which links to tells the code where can I find these data. So the sales data is from the sales table, right? Description is from inventory table, and the quantity is from sales inventory table. All right. Then click enter to start the next line. Now I'm going to link these tables. Okay, select from. Because we have three tables, we're going to link first two from sales to the sales inventory tables. Link from. I'm going to link sales. Now I'm going to use a code called join to be more specific. The inner join to link these two tables. Inner join is going to tell is going to link these tables by their linked by the same by their linked records only, so which both tables have data. Okay, and so in other words, it's a converged part will be returned, or unconverged part will be dropped. That's inner join. We have other join method like full join. So the two tables will be combined together regardless they have converged or not converged part. We also have left join. So all the right part of the table will be combined into the left tables, or right join. The left table will be converged to the right tables. Okay, so they have different result, but the most common table we need for relational database will be the inner join. So we're gonna inner join the sales inventory table first. So how do these tables are linked? They are linked by the key that is a sales invoice ID. In the sales tables, we have the primary key sales invoice ID, and the same one is the is also available in the sales inventory table. Alright, so we finished the first join, but we need to join a third table, which is inventory tables. So this is going to combine the first two tables, but I need another one. That's why I use a parenthesis to finish the first join. Then I'm going to continue the join. The third table, which is inventory table. Again, once I combine the first two, then I'm going to use the item number to join with inventory table. Join inventory on. Inventory, the item ID must equals the sales inventory item ID. Alright. So finally, I'm going to put some criteria. I'm going to use a where. Language. Where inventory description equals what? Refrigerator. And I want transactions between in October and sales. The sale data between Alright, so I finished. I use the right. Don't forget to put semicolon to end the code. Alright, so you think I have a try run to see if everything's okay. Run. Okay, it doesn't give me anything, something's wrong, so I'm going to go back to the SQL view. I guess it's because of the data format. Let's put the required data format for access. And have another try. Okay, now it's back. Yeah, obviously in the SQL view we have to follow all the format requirement, but the design view there, the system is going to help you overcome those small issues. Alright, so we have the same results from the this query as we did from the design view. Okay, I'm gonna close it. I'm not gonna save it. Alright, so let's move on to see the third query, which is built on query 2, but this time the sales manager wants to know how many refrigerators were sold in October. So because this says it's built on query 2, so better to modify query 2 to get query 3. So I'm going to go to the design view first. So let's see. The query 3 wants to have the quantity of refrigerators sold in October. So the only information it wants is quantity, right, of refrigerator. So I don't want to show the date and the description, so deselect these two. But I want the October, so this is still here. A refrigerator is still here. But what we need is we need a total quantity, a total. Okay. So I need total quantities. Go back to here, click total. So I have a new line called a total. Okay, but I only need the quantity right here. So I'm going to select I want the sum of the quantities. Okay, and here I'm going to select where to apply the criteria. All right, this looks. Let's have a try. All right, so I get right the six units of refrigerator sold in October. All right, and you can save. So I'm gonna save, but it's gonna remove the query 2. So before I do that, I try to copy query 2 and paste. Make a copy of query 2 before we make the change. Then I'm going to save this query 2. Now this is query 2. Actually, this should be query 3, right? So I'm going to rename it query 3. Can't rename object. What's open? So close it. Rename it. This is 3. And hopefully this is still 2. Okay, this is still 2. All right. Okay. So we can open query 3 again. And let's open the SQL view to see the codes. So basically there's only one record selected, which is selected sum. Okay, this is function sum of what? Sum of the quantity, and as a new variable, quantity of sum. Then we're gonna, this will be the same from the 3 tables joined together. 3 tables joined together. And where we can apply the criteria. Right? Looks like query 4 is asking for a list description and sum of the quantity of inventory types that are sold in the month of October, but we have to find out those with quantity that is over 2 units and more. Okay, so I think that's relates to query 3, so I need to make a copy of query 3. And I'm going to work on that copy. Right, basically we want inventory, let's say sales data. No, we need October, yes, and a description. Okay, a description we no longer have, I have to restrict it to refrigerator. So think about it. We want to find out the units sold in October by different types of appliances. So the description here is going to show different types of appliances, and this will be used as a group by. Okay, we're gonna find the amount of units grouped by different types of appliances, and I'm gonna remove these criteria. And I'm going to report the types. Okay, about the date, we still want October, so it will be the same, but I'm not going to report it. And the quantity will be the same. I'm going to report the total, the sum of the quantity. It should be the same. But we have additional criteria, which is I want to report only those with a total sum equal or greater to 2 units. So I'm going to put a criteria right here. Only if they're equal or greater than 2 units, that will be reported. Okay, looks good. And I'm going to run. Alright, so here's what we have. We have range 2, refrigerator 6 units, and washer 2 units. This is basically what we need. Alright, so I'm going to save it, close, and rename it to query 4. So let's take a look at its SQL view. Basically, we select what we need. We select the sum, okay, as a new variable. We also select the description. The from, the table join will be the same. Okay, 3 tables will be joined. We apply the where function to restrict to October cells. Okay, here we have a new one. How the data will be organized is group by inventory description. Okay, and finally, we put a having clause here. We only report the total sum equal or greater than 2. So where the sum of the inventory quantity will be greater than 2. Okay. Remember, here we have again a new variable's quantity of sum, but we cannot use it in the same code. We have to use the function again. Okay, you cannot use quantity of sum. The code will not recognize it. Right, so the code will be available in the textbook. So if you use the SQL view, so take a close look at the code. Okay, you have to follow all the steps to get the correct output. So in addition to the sum functions, we can have a lot of others, like we can calculate average, minimum, maximum, count, deviation, and other things, okay, which will be useful to get the data. Alright, so let's take a look at a final query in the textbook, which is query 5. Query 5 want to list the sales data and invoice total for each invoice in October. So sales data is in the sales table, right? And invoice total, we have invoice number. To find the total, we want information from the sales inventory table, right? The quantity multiplied by the sold price is going to give us, right? It's going to give us the total of that item sold. Right? And each invoice may have several items sold. So again, we have to calculate by adding up all the items sold. And we're going to get invoice total. All right, so let's build the query file. In this query, I'm going to build directly from the SQL view. So we're going to select the three, basically. We're going to select the date. The date is available in the sales table. Sales, I want to have the sales date. And I also want the invoice ID. Right? Because we want information by date, by per invoice, and the total amount from that invoice. So I'm going to sum up all the items sold in each invoice. And the amount of items sold, again, is a function of the unit sold multiplied by the sold price. Both are available in the sales inventory table. Right, I want this quantity. And multiply by the this price, sold price. Okay, the sum of, I'm going to give it a name. The sum of this will be named as a new variable called invoice total. This is what we want to report. And I'm going to join these two tables. Inner join. Okay, how do I join? Only they're linked by the sales invoice ID. All right. And again, I want October only. All right. And finally, I'm going to report because all the calculation, right, the sum calculation is by invoice ID and by sales data. So the presentation is going to group by okay, semicolon. All right, let's have a try. It may or may not work. I have something to cover. Okay, and actually it looks great. It looks great. But let's go back to the code. All right, as you can see in the textbook, it's a little bit different. This is what I want to cover. You see, I have to type a lot. For each table, I have to type sales dot, right, or sales sales inventory dot. So there's a lot of typing. We can simplify it. Actually, we can rename the sales table. Okay, right here from sales, we can rename it. In this code, we can rename it as, okay, I should rename it as SI, sales, or S, sales. Same, I can rename sales inventory as SI. Okay, so SI is sales inventory, then S is sales. So I can replace all the sales with just S. Right? And then sales inventory with SI. That can save a lot of typing. Right. All right, let's have a try to see if we can get the same thing. Okay, should be the same. So it can save a lot of typing, and also in a textbook, it puts some brackets right here. So the software is going to read, okay, these carefully, because if there's a lot of calculations, and sometimes better to put those bracket over there to make sure that the software is going to read SI and read quantity correctly. But in this case, we don't have to. The calculation is not that complicated, so we don't have to put the bracket here. Okay, should be the same. All right, so I'm going to save it as query 5. All right, so here we have practiced all the examples, current examples in the textbook. And the assignment, you're going to have very similar queries, but we have some additional queries for you to practice, and you're going to figure out how to build those queries and get the correct output. All right. So this is for Microsoft Access. As I said, some of you may not have Microsoft Access. So here we have another place for you to complete the assignment. Right, so we're going to go to a website. Called SQL Lite Online. All right. So this is a website that can help people learn SQL. It does have a demo table, but we don't use it. Okay, I have coded the database in this file, text file. What you're gonna do, you're gonna copy all the data lines, which is also available in the assignment. Copy the data line. Copy. Okay, gonna remove everything in the SQLite. Remove everything. And I'm gonna paste. Okay, paste everything. Then hit run. See? So 4 tables are built. 4 tables are built. So if you can check the customer table, double click, you're gonna have the customer tables right here. You can also have the inventory, right? Sales and the sales inventory. All right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use SQL view only to finish all the query. For example, I have the first query typed. So you're gonna remove everything in the window. Then you're gonna type right here. For example, I have typed this query. Okay, basically this is a query 1 in the textbook. So I'm gonna hit run again. Okay. Oops. Right, something is wrong. So let me take a look again. What's the problem? No such column. Sales customer ID. Okay. So we're gonna figure out what's wrong. Why there's no customer ID. Okay, so we're gonna check. Okay, I misspelled customers right here. Look, customer. All right, so let's hit the run again. Okay, great. Now this is the output. This is output we need. Okay, then you finish the query 1. So what you need to do is you're gonna screen save this window. Okay, screen save this window as evidence of your query 1. Okay, then you remove the code right here to start query 2 and hit run, and then save the screen as query 2. All right, so this become an alternative place to finish the assignment. So if you have Windows and you can, it's much easier to download Microsoft Access. You're gonna have a free trial, I believe. If you have a business version, you're gonna have a free trial of Microsoft Access. That could be a little bit easier. Otherwise, you can use this SQL coding in this website. Again, it's not that difficult. All right, this is pretty much for the SQL practice.